This video aims at showing you how you can change the type of a question in the WASH KAP standard mobile template to adapt it to your local needs. This is particularly relevant for the camp organization questions at the beginning of the form that will definitely need to be modified based on your needs. You might wish for the zones to not have a number, but you might have in your local context a letter, or you might not even have zones. Same for blocks, sections. You might not have a cluster approach at all, etc., etc. So to be able to modify this, you're going to need to open your WASH KAP template. So in this template, in your survey tab, which is the one we're going to focus on in this video, you have a type of question column. This type of question is the one that defines what way your question is going to appear on the mobile. So you notice here that we have select one camp, which is in XLS Forms terminology and syntax, a way of saying that you want a drop-down list where they can tick one box. An integer type question is one where you can only fill in a number, etc., etc. You notice that some of them are in orange. All of these in orange are some types of questions that we encourage you to modify if you wish. You actually, at the full right of the template, you have a column that helps you explain what you can actually do in terms of modification. So I'm just going to hide all the columns that we don't need for this video to make it clear for you. And I'm just going to filter here this comments column on the word type so that here only the questions where you can modify the type are shown. And here it tells you, for example, for the select one camp, you can modify the type from select one to integer or text, though it's always a good idea to have rather a list of options to avoid errors of capture. Here for the zone question, it tells you you can modify the type from integer to text. So if you wanted to change it to text, make sure that you really respect the syntax that is specified here. So there can't be any extra spaces, or for example, if you were French, you wouldn't want to add the E to text, but really keep to the English syntax. It's the only one that's understood. Same for the block. If you had a text type block to fill, now these will appear as text to fill rather than integers. You will of course need to adapt also the constraint and constraint message accordingly. So if I show these columns again, if I unhide them. So for the block now, of course, we don't want a number between 0 and 10 because it's not relevant with the type of question. So either I could put in a text constraint, or I could just remove entirely this constraint if it no longer makes sense. So here I'd want to do it both for the block and also the zone where I made those modifications. And of course, make sure that you also modify the list of camps. If you need, you can watch the video that's on the modification of options of answers to get more elements. Keep in mind, however, that there are a number of questions of which you should not touch the type because they help calculate some of the key indicators of the WASH KAP form. Therefore, anything that is in bold should not be modified. Also, check the video on how to delete a question if it is no longer relevant for you. As summary of this presentation, we learned how to change the type of column for each variable by respecting the XLS form syntax for it to be properly understood, and also adapting the question constraints accordingly.